Hello, welcome to another episode of Dax Jutsu. I'm Dane, and for today's episode, I'll be discussing how to handle nested headers in Power BI. So, I do have a sample dataset with me. As you can see, we have nested headers. We have one row for the category and another one for the subcategories, and they have just one or for each subcategory, they have this merged and centered columns. So let's go over to Power Query and transform this into a format that is usable in Power BI. We've already done this, but let me just duplicate this and delete that transformations I did. Okay, so let's start with this. Now, you might want to unpivot this, but unpivoting will not really work. So we'll try a different approach. What we want to happen is that we combine row 1 and row 2 into a single row. And then I'll promote that as a header and then pivot step after. Okay, so first is I will get, I will convert first table into a list of its column names. Or first, rather, is I will assign this navigation step into a variable. Then we'll get the original column table. Let's column names. Let's see. Original columns. In yep. Now we have the original columns as a list. This is what I don't like about the intelligence of Power Query. Sometimes it assumes that you want to kind of click anything from the choices. So there you go. And we are interested in the first two rows. So what I'm going to do is keep the first two rows, keep top rows, two, and then I'll be assigning the step to a variable instead of creating new steps. So first n, let's name that variable first n, first m, first n. Did I miss something? So, yeah. So we must use the correct variable. Change this to t. Okay, here we go. Now we now have first two rows. The next thing to do is kind of, yes, kind of transpose. The correct term, transpose. So we'll be transposing this. So the column names or the rows are in its own columns. Transform, where's that transpose? Transpose. And then I'll be assigning the step again to a variable. Transpose. First and no, transpose. The next thing to do is to fill down the first column. Fill that down. Okay. And we'll copy a generated M formula and assign that to fill down variable. That the next thing to do is combine or merge these two columns into one. So transform, merge, and let's use the word merged as a new column name and then underscore as our delimiter. Do that and then assign that to a variable. Merge. Fill down. Let's see. There we go. So we've now assigned this to variable. Leave this. I'll be duplicating this because I want to do something. Okay. I'll rename a column. I'll change it to rename. And then let's inspect what Power Query does. So whenever we rename a column, Power Query uses table.rename column function and then name the previous step. And then it generates a list of lists. That is our rename operation. So we have, so this is a list, and this list is within a list. We have the original column and the new column. So what we're going to do is kind of replicate this in automatically. Let, let's see. Okay, let's rename another one. Rename to copy this resource blank clear. So this is what I was talking about. This is a list of lists. So each list contains a list. It contains the original column and the column that column is to be renamed to. And this is what we're going to generate automatically. Let's go back to that one there. So we now have our original columns and we'll want to zip that together with merge or our new column names. So how do we do that? copy. Then we'll be using this function called list.zip, and list.zip requires a list of lists. So we must enclose our list inside curly brackets. Because if we don't, let's see, let's remove the list first. I'm in the curly brackets. We'll get an error. It says that two arguments were passed a function expects one. We have two arguments, original columns and merged. So, mhm, okay. So I got an error because merge is not a list yet. So if I go back to merge, merge is actually a table. Now, in order to convert this to list, the operation is very simple. We just need to right click the column and then click drill down. So it simply references the previous step, which is the table, and then wraps the column name in square brackets. So we'll go back to the previous step, then we'll be wrapping, or we'll be converting this into a list. And it's simply by wrapping a column, the column name that we want to convert into a list in square brackets, and appending that to the table name or to the step. So it's now a list of lists. No, it's now a list rather. Now if we go back to this.zip, it should not be giving us an error. Okay. So I'll change the name to rename values. And this one, I'll be referencing this to navigation. Copy of navigation. And reference that to navigation. So, and then I'll just rename a column. Rename. And after that, I'll replace this list of lists with what we have generated. So generate automatically. To rename the values. Enter. See, so now we have renamed the columns automatically using the category and the subcategory. So the next part will be easy. We'll just have, first we'll have to skip the first rows. So remove top two rows. And then I'll just change this once and pivot other columns and split this. Transform split by delimiter. And our delimiter is underscore. Rename that to rename first column to category and the next column to subcategory. We'll just change the data type after. This is text and this is whole number. And now it's done. So this is just one of the approaches in connecting to a data source with nested headers. I hope you've learned something and thank you for staying with me. Bye bye.